Rucham Aboim B'Shem Irgin Shir Tav, the cover to introduce Rabbi Yakov Zev Smith, Shlita for today's shir on the topic of situations of Sofek Bracha. We would like to have the great schus of sponsoring a shir called Irgin Shir Tav at 718-851-8651.
Recently we heard a shaila from a quote, a Pasha Diyid, even though it doesn't really exist. He had a question. He wanted to drink coffee and he wasn't sure if he made a bracha already. So he asked him what to do. Sofek brachas. So the person says, what's the shaila? Sofek brachas lahakol. Just drink without a bracha. That didn't sit well with him. I should drink without a bracha? He couldn't do that. So he asked me afterwards, almost pleadingly, is there any eitzah when I have a Sofek bracha like this, or any other situation of Sofek brachas, to make a bracha? I just can't see myself drinking without a bracha. And the Emes says there are many situations of Sofek brachas. A person has a hot drink, do you make a bar nefashis? There's a machlokes. You have a shaila about making a bracha on a farshpeis or a dessert, and the numerous shailas of Sofek brachas. The question is, what do you do when you have a situation of Sofek brachas? And be very clear, we're not talking about a Sofek benching, because Sofek berachas hamazain, sveika deraisa l'chumra, you have to bench. We're talking about a Sofek brachas that Allah says, lahakol. Is there any eitzah, any solution to make a bracha? So the Emes says this is clear. Sofek brachas lahakol is normative halacha. In fact, the Rambam finds it at Beferish Gemara. We just had the Yom Tov of Shmini Atzeres. The Gemara paskins in Masechta Sukkah Daf Mem Zayin Amud Beis v'Hilchasa Yisuvi Yasfinan and Bruchilay Mevarchinan. Since it's a Sofek, if you're supposed to sit in the Sukkah, you sit and don't make a bracha. Zok the Rambam in the Tshuvas and Per Hadar Siman Chavav. If you hold you have to sit in the Sukkah, so why not make a bracha? Mamanashach. Zok the Rambam. This is a makar for Sofek brachas lahakol. You sit in the Sukkah, but don't make a bracha. The Rosh in Brachas Paragimel Siman Tezvav has a different makar. The Gemara there discusses if you have a Sofek, if you said Krishma, so since Sveika Derais L'chum, you have to repeat the Krishma. But Birchas Krishma, and that's the way the Gemara comes out, Sofek Birchas Krishma, don't say it. Why? Sofek Brachas Lahakol. And the Shulchan Aruch, in no less than 6 places, Kuf Samach Zayin Tes, Kuf Ayin Dalid, Dalid, Reish Tes Gimel, Reish Yud, Reish Yud Ches, Reish Yud Tes. All these cases, the Shulchan Aruch has situations, various situations of Sofek brachas, and the Shulchan Aruch says Sofek brachas lahakol. So we're very convinced Sofek brachas lahakol. You're allowed to drink the coffee without a bracha, but there is a big problem. Besides the great schus of making a bracha, the Gemara says in Brachas Daf Lamed Hey, there's also an issa, a very serious issa, of asla sheyehena ma'ila mazeh b'loi bracha v'chol hanena kilu mal. In other words, besides the mitzvah, there's an issa on eating without a bracha. And the Gemara says terrible things about someone that eats without a bracha. So now the question is, you have a Sofek if you made a shakal on this coffee, and a chanami Sofek brachas lahakol, you can't make a bracha. But how could you drink? You might be doing an issa of me'ilah, of hana without a bracha. You'll say, wait a minute, we just had 2 Gemaras that Sofek brachas lahakol. That's by a Sofek berchas hamitzvah. You're doing a mitzvah anyhow. If you don't make a bracha, it's not ma'akiv. Now, of course, you're supposed to make a berchas hamitzvah, but it's not. There's no me'ilah if you do a mitzvah without a bracha. So when there's a Sofek berchas hamitzvahs, then lahakol. But who said when it comes to eating or drinking, you're allowed to eat or drink without a bracha? And it's very meduyak, because both rayas that we brought from the Gemara, Shmini Atzeres and Birchas Krishma, are brachas ha-mitzvah. And the Emes says this has a very firm basis in halacha. The Gemara in Brachas Daf Yud Beis discusses a various situation of Sofek brachas. If he started making a bracha thinking that it was, thought it was wine, and he started making a gofen and it was really beer. So there's a shaila if he's yaitz because he started with the wrong intention. So Taisvis says we don't have an achra. Is the bracha good or not? But Sofek brachas lahakol. But zakt the tzarech levarech pam acheres. Zakt Rabbi Akiva Eigen the Gilyon Hashas in brachas on that Gemara I know what Tosfos means. Enachanami Sofek Brachas lahakol by Birchas HaMitzvah. But to drink with the Sofek Brachas, it might be Sofek Me'ilah. And Rabbi Yakov says, I found the Even HaOizu says this, and really the source of this is the Marsha in Pesachim Kuf Beis. So we have a Tosfos, a Marsha, Even HaOizu, Rabbi Yakov, that seem to say Sofek Brachas lahakol means make a bracha. Don't be makel and drink without a bracha. And the emphasis, there could be an even earlier source. If you recall, Pesach by night is always the old shayla, it's machlekes rishonim. Do you make a bracha on all kaises, or the first kais pat the other kaises? So the Maril, one of the rishonim in Haggadah, says you make a bracha on each, and the Rosh says, and what do we do? But others say not. So there's up to Maril, but the Ra'ah says, since it's also lehenes b'lai bracha, v'safik issa l'chumra. So the Maril already says, our minhag of making a bracha on all four kaises is because we're afraid to drink without a bracha. So I saw Rav Vozna in Chelik Tes Siman Kuf Yud Tes says, this is a source, another reason, like a B'kiveiga, besides Taisis. So here we have two Rishonim, Taisis and Brachas Yud Beis. We have the Maril, that Sofek Brachas lahakol is Birchas HaMitzvah. But when it comes to eating or drinking, you're not allowed to eat or drink without a bracha. But as we mentioned, the Shulchan Aruch in no less than 6 places says Sofek Brachas lahakol applies even to Birchas Hanenim. And Rav Vozna himself in Chelik Aleph Reish Hey and Chelik Zayin Chav Tes says that that's the sug in the Alma. Taka, there's a makar for the Marsha, but lahalacha we paskin Sofek Brachas lahakol even applies to Birchas Hanenim. The big problem, Rabbi Yisai, is the taina is a good taina. How could you drink that coffee without a bracha or with a Sofek bracha? You might be oivan me'ilah. So the Pashta teretz is, so what do you want to do? Make a new bracha? It might be levatala. And bracha levatala is probably more chama than animal bracha. It's leisisa. Or I'll tell you a really beautiful pshat. Did you ever wonder, why is there an issa of eating or drinking without a bracha? Where does the issa come from? Very pashut. Since you're mechoyev to make a bracha, if you didn't make a bracha, then there's me'ilah. Now watch this. An oinen lo yaleinu, before the kvura, does not do any mitzvahs. He doesn't make a bracha, he doesn't bench. Now we can't do isurim, he can't eat a ham sandwich, you can't do asurim, but he's not chayiv in any mitzvahs. So he eats without a bracha. Question, how could he eat without a bracha? And a chanam, he's not mechoyev in brachais, but he's mechoyev in isurim. How's that eat without a bracha? The teretz is very pashut. The issa of eating without a bracha is a product of the chiyah bracha. So since the oinen has no chiyah bracha, there's no issa. That's probably the hezbah of our minig, that Sofek Brachas lahakol says eat without a bracha. Since you can't make a bracha because it's a Sofek Bracha levatala, so there's no chiyah bracha. If there's no chiyah bracha, there's no issa of achila b'lai bracha. There could be a third shot. Rabbi Yashiv in the Shurei on Masech Brachas on Kuf Memches, he says Sofek Brachas lahakol is mavara, is paskins the metzias is you probably made a bracha. It's only nervin. Don't worry. Once you made a bracha, you're allowed to eat without a bracha. But basically, we see the following conclusion, that Sofek Brachas lahakol is based on Rishonim. And according to most Shitas, that's the Shita of Shulchan Aruch, and that's our minig, even Sofek Birchas Hanenin, you're allowed to eat without a bracha. And we have Hezbeir. But I want to mention, Mr. Burin Reish Tezvav Sivkat and Chaf says, it doesn't mean Sofek Bracha lahakol, you're not mechoyev to make a bracha. It's asa to make a bracha. Since it might backfire and become a bracha levatala, and the Sharatzian says some very powerful language. He says the lav of loisisa bracha levatala is chama misha lavim begoidel chumra. It's like chayiv increases a misas bezdin and godel einsha. Lamaisa, we cannot make a bracha when you have a Sofek. The halach is Sofek Bracha is lahakol and period. But Rabbi say it's also true that a person's hergish is, how could I eat without a bracha? I mean, according to the Marsha and the Kiva Eiga and Taisus and the Maril, it's wrong. Now, you'll say, you're allowed to eat because we paskin. But a Yid's hergish, he doesn't want to eat without a bracha. And I want to mention another possible incentive. The Gemara says in Bava Kama Daf Lamed, Hayman de Boilam Hevi Chasida. Who wants to be a chassid? Now, we know that the word chassid is the most honorable title in Yiddishkeit. The Gemara in Nida says that a chassid is bigger than a tzaddik. How do I know this? Because if someone cuts his nails and throws them out, he buries them, so he's a tzaddik. If he burns the nails, he's a chassid. So you see, chassid is bigger than a tzaddik. And here the Gemara says, you want to be a chassid? No. So what do you have to do? Tell me what's in it. Yikayim mili de brachas. Gemara says you have to keep brachas. So the Aruch HaShulchan wonders, because you keep brachas, you're a chassid? So the Aruch HaShulchan says, I think the pshat is when a person has a Sofek, he could rely on Sofek brachas lahakol. But the chassid goes the extra mile and gets a bracha. So here we have two incentives, even though Sofek brachas lahakol, you're allowed to drink the coffee without a bracha. But first of all, we have a shita of Taisus and the Maril, and also we want to be Chassidim. What is the alternative? Do we have any options of Sofek brachas to make a bracha? So you have to realize that it's a very challenging thing to find. Because if you find a way of saying a bracha that's a good bracha, it's a great option. But then, if lamaisi you don't need the bracha, you're going to be stuck with bracha levatol. So what are you going to do? You're going to find a mediocre eitzah? It's not really a good eitzah. Okay, so I say this the following lashon. If the bracha is harmless, it can't become bracha levatala, it's probably also useless. If it's not a bracha in the first place, you can't go wrong. I'll give you an example. Someone told me whenever he has a Sofek brachas, he says the bracha, and then Baruch Shem Kavoid, he adds right away. I do it every morning. I could do it if I film. I could do it here also. That's a terrible mistake, because Baruch Shem is not an eraser. It doesn't erase bracha levatala. This that we say it after tefillin shel roish, the pais can say really we're convinced that the bracha on tefillin shel roish is necessary. We just do it leyesa says. And I want to mention, I saw this person in an El Yerabah. The Levush mentions the minig to make two brachas, but does not mention the minig of saying Baruch Shem. Zok the El Yerabah and Sifkat and Yud. You know why? Because a person might make a mistake when he has a Sofek brachas, he'll say the bracha and say Baruch Shem. So therefore the Levush says it's not a good idea. So this person made that mistake. In fact, the Aruch HaShulchan and Chaf Hey Yud Beis, he says that Baruch Shem is not really for bracha levatol. He has a whole different shat. But there's no doubt about it. To say a bracha and say Baruch Shem is not an option. Because the eitzah, a good eitzah, but it's too good. Because if it's not necessary, if your shakel's not necessary, then the bracha becomes a bracha levatol. So it's probably the best eitzah, and many people use this eitzah. If you have a Sofek brachais, you can't say the bracha. Go to someone that's making a shakel on a coffee, or any shakel, and tell them to have me in mind. You'll be yaitza with Shemei Ka'oina. Now, Shemei Ka'oina is a lachatchila. The Rashban Chelik Aleph Kuf Chav Ches says it's lachatchila. It's not a second-rate bracha. So l'chayra, it's a great idea. And indeed, the Magen Avram in Kuf Ayin Dal Sivkot and Tezvav says this eitzah. If you have a Sofek bracha, get someone to be moitzi you. The Mishnah Berurah in Mem Zayin Chav Ches regarding a Sofek Birchas HaTorah, and in Tov Pei Tes Lamed Zayin regarding a Sofek in Birchas Sfira, gives the same recommendation. If you have a Sofek brachas, it's preferable to get someone else to say a bracha and be moitzi you. Now, granted, by bracha rishona, we try not to be yoitzi with someone else, unless kiddush or lechem mishnah. But here you have no other choice. So Shemei Ko'ayin is a great idea. But the obvious question is, if it's good, why isn't it too good? In other words, you listen, you're not sure if you said a shakel. It's very possible you said a shakel, but you're not sure. So you listen to someone else say a shakel. Okay, very good. But let's say klape shmaya. You already said a shakel. Now what are you doing? You're getting shemei ka'oina. which is lachatchila. Very good. But let's say you didn't need that shackle. Why doesn't that shackle become a bracha levatala? And let me tell you, I know it sounds a little strange, but it is based on a toisvis. Because the Rashi in Brachas Chaf Aleph says if a person's in the middle of Shmein Esrei and he has Kedusha, you're not allowed to interrupt Shmein Esrei to say Kedusha. So Rashi says, no problem, don't interrupt. Just pause, listen to the Shat say Kedusha, and be Yaitzu with Shemei Ka'ina. For Ektoisis, I don't get it. If you tell me Yaitzu with Shemei Ka'ina, in other words, Shemei Ka'ina is very literal, so why isn't the Kedusha hefsik? So Taisva says, the minig is to listen, Godla minig. Now, a lot has been written, but one thing I can tell you, Taisva seems to feel that Shemei Ka'ina is so real that it becomes a hefsik. Now, I ask you, if Shemei Ka'ina could be a hefsik, then l'chayr it could become a bracha l'batala. You'll say, but we paskin like Rashi, forget about Taisus. So I don't know who we is, but I saw a Har Tzvi in Simon Nuntes who discussed a very camp yeshiva shaila whenever they make havdal in Beis Medrash. Again, typically in a camp or yeshiva, this is midi Shabbos b'Shabbatay, and there are always some barachim that are still davening Shmein Esrei, and they're saying havdalah. So someone asked the Har Tzvi, could I pause for my Shmein Esrei to hear havdalah? I do it for Kedusha, I'll do it for havdalah. Says the Har Tzvi, no, it's not a good idea. Really, according to Taisvis, it's a hefsek. But Tais says the minig is to listen to Kedusha. You know why the minig is? So you have no choice. But Havdalah, you have a choice. After you finish Shemon Esrei, get wine and listen to Havdalah. So we're not even sure that Allah is like Rashi. And you know who says this? The Tzlach. The Tzlach is very mekatza. But the Tzlach in Estanayit Yehuda in Brachas Chaf Aleph from the Beis, and he discusses a Sofek Brachas, and he says l'chayr the eitzah would be listen to someone else say a bracha. Great, Zok the Tzlach, but according to Taisves in Brachas Chaf Aleph that says Shemei Ka'ayin is a hefsek, it would also be a bracha levatala. Zok the Tzlach, but Lamaisa, since Taisa says the minig is like Rashi, you could rely on Rashi, and Sofek Brachais, listen to someone else. But the Tzlach is very clear that according to Taisvis, Shemei Ka'in is good, but too good, it will be a bracha levatala. Now, Lamaisa, we would have thought, not me, I'm saying the Paiskim say this, we would have thought not like the Tzlach. Because even if Shemei Ka'ina works, but bracha levatala is based on the pasuk loisisa sheim hashav. Loisisa is taiched based on a pasuk in Tilim to verbalize the words. If you didn't say the words, there's no bracha levatala. So even though you could be yaitz with Shemei Ka'ina, but who said it backfires? It sours into a hefsek. You didn't say the words. But then again, the tzlach's taina is a strong taina. You didn't say the words, so why is it a hefsek? I'm quiet. The teretz is Shemei Ka'in is real. If it's a hefsek, it's a bracha levatala. So we're going to say the following: Shemei Ka'ina is a good idea. The tzlach is concerned about bracha levatala, and the tzlach was the tzlach. But the paiskim seem to say we're going to make a shvalt. Shemei Ka'ina works, but as long as you don't verbalize the words, it's not a hefsek. But Rabbi said we could do better. Rabbi Kiva Eiga, in the new prince of tzlach, it's on the bottom of the tzlach, and it's also in the new Friedman Shulchan Aruch, in the end of Siman Kuf Dalar on Shulchan Aruch. Kiva Eiga has a problem. We would love to make Shemei Ka'ina work, but the tzlach says it's a bracha, it's a question of bracha levatala. So Kiva Eiga have a great idea. Listen to the shackle that your friend says and make a tanai. If I need the shackle, I didn't make the shackle, I want to be yaitz with them. If I already said a shackle, I don't need a shackle, I'm just listening, easy listening. You can't go wrong with that. And I want to tell you, the Sharatzi and the Tov Pei Tesiv Cotton Hay regarding a suffix of bracha of svira, I think it's the same thing. He says if you have a suffix, you have to make a bracha, listen to someone else. The yachshid b'daite lotzeis ba'brachim m'mchoyi b'dava. So we have a tzlach. It seems the Mishnah Berurah says it, and the Har Tzvi and Yeridei Chaf Aleph says this clearly. When you have a Sofek Brachas, the best aids is to listen to someone say the bracha. You want to have a safety net, you want to be really secure, listen b'tanai. But I must tell you that Rabbi Yakov Zev himself says that Lamaisa, the Magen Avram, and Kuf Ayin Dal that we mentioned, Sifka and Tezvav says, if you have a Sofek Bracha, listen to the bracha, and Yaitu Shemei Kain, he does not say make it tonight. So Rabbi Yakov Zev probably held you don't need it tonight. You don't have to be chayshish that Shemei Kain becomes the bracha of Atala. You don't have to be chayshish for the tzlach. So we'll say the following: if you have a Sofek Bracha, the best eight is hear someone else's bracha. If you want to be really from, do Rabbi Yakov Zev, Sharatzian, and Har Tzvi, and listen b'tanai. But if you didn't make it tonight, we're gonna name on it can't turn into a bracha of Atala. No. But the boys say we could do better, because what do you do? The following scenario: as it is, you came late to Shachris. Everybody's putting on talis and tefillin, and you have a sofek, you made a shackle on your coffee. There's no one around making a shackle on coffee. What are you going to do? So if you're creative, original, a little daring, I'll tell you a very good eitzah. Go over to your friend who's about to make a bracha on talis, says, do me a favor, but don't ask me questions. Okay? He's already suspicious. Here you're holding your coffee. He says, be moitzi me on your talis, with your bracha on the talis. So the fellow says, you're holding a coffee, I'm making ice. You said you're not going to ask questions, right? Okay. He says the bracha on talis, Baruch Atah Hashem, Elokeinu, and then you finish, Melech ha'olam shahakon liya b'dvari. In America, it's called mix and match. Get any bracha, talis, tefillin, ashiyatz, whatever you want. Let him be moitzi with the Shem. So don't see malchus you're allowed to say on your own, but Shem, Baruch Atah Hashem Elokeinu, and then you take off with your shackle. It sounds, original, but what's wrong? If you're allowed to be Yaita Shemei Ka'ina, what's wrong with that? Mixing and matching is, what's wrong? Chatzi Shmiya and Chatzi Amira, does that work? So the emes, we use that at least twice a year. When we listen to Megillah, and sometimes we miss the word, or if you have Mervin, you think you missed the word, but Bekitza, you think you missed the word, so Mishnah Berurah says, Lane, on your own. So there we have Chatzi Shmiya, Chatzi Amira, and Takar B'Kiva Ega in the Tshuva Siman Zayin and in Rosh Chodesh and Brachas Chaf seems to say beferish you could make a bracha Chatzi Shmiya and Chatzi Amira, and the Debetzina Rav and Chelik Gimel Lamed Dalid has this very shayla that I told you, and he says, can you be Yaitza the first half of the bracha with Shmei Kaina, and then you could conclude your own bracha? He says, why not? And he tries to bring Rayas Ayin Sham. The Har Tzvi in Chelik Aleph Siman Samach of the Tshuvas also says it works, and his Rayas for Megillah, that we use it for Megillah. Okay, the Chazon in Chaf. It doesn't work, but the Stipler and Kilas Yaakov Brachas Yud Aleph and the Mincha Shleima both say it doesn't work if you have two halves. You can't add up two halves. But if the other fellow is making a full bracha, albeit on talis, so he has a full bracha, you could connect to that half of his bracha. And Lamaisa, we have the following eitzah. Either you could get someone that's making a shackle, but if you don't have that available, any bracha that someone is saying, tell him to moitzi you on half the bracha, you can conclude the bracha that you need a bezainis, and he's making a tefillin, doesn't make a chiluk. You could mix and match and create a shemei ka'ina. Next suggestion, someone told me, whenever he has a Sofek Brachas, he wants to play it safe, he'll say the bracha without Shem U'Malchus. Baruch Atah Melech ha'olam shahakol liya b'dvar. And the emes is, we do that. The Shulchan Aruch, the end of Kuf Chav Zayin, we say, we end Moedim without Shem U'Malchus. Reish Zayin, our minig, except for minig Agraz, we end Bar Nefashos, Baruch Chei Ha'olam without Baruch Atah Hashem. In Reish Yud Test, the Mechaba discusses Goimel, and he says you have a suffix, say without Shem Malchus. And most notably, the minig, I think, of Klal Yisrael is to make the bracha Baruch Shep Tarani without Shem Malchus. Baruch Shep Tarani mi'oin sheshel hazeh. So we see a bracha without Shem Malchus is a good option. And it can't sour, it can't turn the bracha of Atala because there's no Shem Malchus. So why don't we do that for every Sofek Brachas Lahakal? The answer is, you're right. It's harmless. But usually harmless is useless. Because if you're not saying Shema Malchus, so what's the value of that bracha? The Gemara says, Kol bracha she'ein by Shema Malchus, ain't a bracha. Those places, why do we do it? Because we have no choice. It's maybe better than nothing, but it's not much more than nothing. So therefore, although it is an eitzah that can't backfire, but it doesn't really get you any place. You're not getting a bracha. Grada, I want to mention, whenever you hear a bracha without Shema Malchus, Lamashal Baruch Sheptarani, do you say Amen to that bracha? If it's not a bracha, so what are you saying Amen to? So if you look in the Shar Ephraim and Dalet Chav Dalet, he says, if the father says Baruch Sheptarani B'Shema Malchus, say Amen. So it's very much mashma. If he's not saying Shema Malchus, the minig is not to say Amen. The B'Tziel HaChochma has a beautiful tshuva in Chelik Hey, Peites, that says this as well. Also, I want to mention, whenever you make a bracha without Shem Malchus, I always wondered, what does it mean without Shem Malchus? You can't say Hashem, it might be Levatala. But what does it hurt saying Malchus? Why do you say Baruch Melech HaOlam Shakal B'Dvarim? There's no Issa of Malchus Levatala. So Shem, I understand. What's wrong with Malchus? So the Samlas Chaim and Kuf Lam and Heitak says, you're right. There's nothing wrong with Malchus Levatala. But we don't want a person to get the impression that he's Yaitzu with this bracha. So say it without anything. But Taka Rav Moshe in Yerdea Gimel Kuf Chav Tes, he has a shayla about when a person visits the Makam HaMikdash, and you say the bracha Dayin Emes, should you say without Shem Malchus? Yes. Rav Moshe says you can really say it with Malchus. You can say Baruch Melech HaOlam Dayin Emes. Because what's wrong with Malchus? You can't go wrong. And there's a much earlier source, one of the Rishonim, the Rivash in Chelik Beis, Tav Ches, regarding the Sofek Brachas, he spells out, you can't say Shem when you have a Sofek, but Malchus you can't go wrong. So if someone has a Sofek Brachas, you could say Baruch Melech HaOlam Sha'akal Li B'Dvarei, you can't go wrong, but you're not really accomplishing much. The next suggestion is a lot more challenging, and that is say a bracha, but don't say the regular Shem Hashem, say the word Rachmana. Brich, Rachmana, Malka, Dehayalma, Shahakol Niya B'Dvarei. Now that sounds like a very interesting combination. Aramis, Lashon Kodesh, but Lamaisa, this has l'chayra much more merit. The Gemara says in Brachis, Daf Mem Amud Beis, if someone made the bracha Brich Mori Dehai Pita, he's Yaitza. And this is quoted in Shulchan Aruch Kuf Samach Zayin Yud. In other words, you don't have to say a bracha in Lashon Kodesh, Aramaic, or actually any language, as long as you made Shem Hashem, you're Yaitza. Where's the Shem Hashem in Brich Rachmana? The answer is Rachmana is a kinui for HaKadosh Baruch Hu's name. So the assumption is, if you said Brich Rachmana, you're Yaitza a bracha. The Gemara in Brachas Nun Dalet Amud Beis regarding Goimel is also implicit that if someone made a Goimel in Aramaic, he said Brich Rachmana do you have in Ne'aloch v'yavach la'ofra, you Yaitza Goimel in Aramaic, and that's in Shulchan Aruch Reish Yotes Siv Gimel. The third place in Kuf Pei Zayin Aleph, if you made a bracha in Aramaic, you Yaitza the bracha. Now comes again the Pnei Yeshua in Brachas Yud Beis, and he says if you have a Sofek Brachais, Toises in Brachas Yud Beis says maybe you can't eat because it's the Sofek Issa. I have an eitzah for you. Say the bracha in Aramaic, and you yaitza with the bracha. Now the Bnei Yeshua does not spell out if it's good, it's too good. If you yaitza, then so probably the answer is the word Rachmana is not Shem Shemayim Levatala. I could say Rachmana L'Tzlan. I could say Rachmana and sing a niggin Rachmana. It's not the real Shem Hashem. So Pnei Yeshua probably held if you have a Sofek Bracha, you could rely on the Bracha Rachmana, but it can turn into a Bracha Levatala. And the Bnei Yisascha in the Sefer Derech Pikutecha, in the Standard Princess Amid Ayin Vav, he says, whenever I have a Sofek Bracha, I say the Nusach in Aramaic, and I conclude the regular Bracha. the Brach Pa'olam and Chela Gimel, the end of Siman Zayin, the Marsham and Aleph Reish Hey, and most Barichas, the Aruch HaShulchan, in Reish Beis, Siv Gimel, after he recommends being a chassid and finding an eitzah for Sofek Brachas, so in Siv Gimel, he says, I'll give you an eitzah. What do you do if you have a Sofek Shackle? So he says, the eitzah is say, Brich Rachmana, Mara Dehai Alma, Shahakol Niya B'Dvar. He says, you're saying a bracha, but what's wrong? You could say Rachmana 100 times. And he said, that's what I do whenever I have a suffix. He's talking about, you have a suffix, a bracha chreina on a hot drink, brich rachmana, bari nefashos. He says, someone told me it's not an eitzah, v'lo nira li klal uklal. So here we have an Aruch HaShulchan, a Bnei Yisascha, a Bnei Yeshua, that whenever you have a suffix bracha, say it in Aramaic, and you could only gain, you can't lose. Now, we should point out, Brich Rachmana, Malka Dehai Alma, let's look at that bracha. What do you have? You have Shem, Rachmana. You have Malchus, Malka Dehai Alma. Where's Elokeinu? Rachmana is only Shem Hashem. So I saw the Minchas Pitim in Reish Yudal, and the Bialoch and Kuf Samach Zayin uses the exact same thing. From the Gemara says you can be yaitz with Brich Rachmana. We have a raya from this Gemara that you have to have a Shem or Malchus. But if you don't have Elokeinu, it's not Ma'akiv. This Gemara. Because Brich Rachmana, Malka Dehai Alma. So in other words, you're not going to have Elokeinu. You're going to have Hashem, Melech HaOlam, and that's enough. The Munkach Rebbe, Munkach Archaim, in Kuf Samach Zayin, says the eitzes works in Aramaic and actually any language. As long as you have a Shem Hashem, it's good. Rav Sternbuch in Chelik Aleph Kuf Chav Chesed, it has to be a real Shem Hashem. Lord, L-O-R-D, is not Shem Hashem. Because Lord, Lahavla, is used in many different ways. So he says it has to be a kinoi of a Shem Hashem in English. He rather says you should say English, bless the Hashem, Elokeinu. When he's talking about using a bracha in other lashonis, he says you have to make sure that the Shem Hashem is a proper Shem Hashem. But Rabbi said, what we see from all this, you could make a bracha in Aramaic, and the Aruch HaShulchan spells out Brich Rachmana Malka Dehai Alma Shakol Niya B'Dvar. You could make a bilingual bracha. As long as you have a Shem Umalchus, you're okay. But you could understand that many Paiskim strongly question this. Because if indeed Rachmana works for Shem Hashem, and at the end of the day it becomes a bracha, how could it not turn into a bracha l'vatala? It's the old problem. If it's good, it's too good. And as early as a Kiva Eiga, in Siman Chafei, says Beferish, to say a bracha in Aramaic, could turn into a bracha l'vatala. And don't forget, the Shulchan Aruch in 3 places says you yaitza the bracha with Aramaic. So how could it be a yaitza, but it's not a bracha l'vatala? Now I want to add, I could say Rachmana Litzlan. Teretz is very poshut. If I'm saying Rachmana as a statement, Rachmana Litzlan, it has no meaning. If it has no meaning, it can't backfire. But if I'm saying it as a bracha, so if it's a bracha, it turns to bracha l'vatala. And this is not my chiddush. The exact same yisoid I saw the Chavas Das in Siman Kufya Nerdei Kloi Svek Svek Asif Kot and Chav ask an eisner question. If we have Sofek Bracha, so we paskin don't make a bracha, so bracha l'hakom. Don't play around with Shem Hashem. Yet yesterday by the Shabbos Suda, I'm sure many Yidden sang Zmiris with Shem Hashem. Rosh Hashanah night, many Yidden, Yiratzayin, Milfanecha, and they said Hashem, Elokeinu, V'Elokei V'Iseinu. How does this work? Sofek brachas don't make a bracha. But you could sing Zmiris, you could say Tchinas, you could say Tfilas with Shem Hashem. How does that work? How can you say Shem Hashem if you can't even say it when you have a Sofek brachas? So the Chavas Das is very poshut. If you say a bracha, the Shem bracha, and you didn't need it, it's bracha l'vatala. But if you sing a niggin, it's not a bracha. How could a niggin turn the bracha l'vatala? How could a tefillah, chas v'shalom, there's no tefillah l'vatala. If you say it as a bracha and it doesn't work, it's bracha l'vatala. If you say it as a tchina, gesundheit, And he says the same is true with Aramaic. If you say Aramaic, I'm just my mashal, Rachmanu litzlan, so it's a statement, it's a tefillah. Can't go wrong. But if you say it as a bracha and it's not necessary, it could turn into a bracha levatala. So here we have Rabbi Akiva Eiga, a Chavas Das, and I must mention the Tashbitz. In Gimel Kuf Chaf Aleph, he says the minig in those days was that they were matargum the Haftarah, standard. They always matargum things. So he said, but make sure that you're not matargum the brachas. Because once you said the brachas in Targum, in Aramaic, you can't repeat it. So I saw on the bottom of the Tashbitz, they point out, we see from this, that a bracha that's said in Aramaic could, if it's not necessary, is a bracha levatala. So here we have the following question. Mitzad echad, we have some Gedolei Olam, the Aruch HaShulchan says it, the Meis Yisrael says it, Pnei Yeshua says it, that if you have a Sofek Bracha, say it in Aramaic. But l'idach gisu, we have a Tashbitz, you have a Chavas Das, you have a Rabbi Akiva Eiga. I saw in the Tshuvas Divrei Yisrael, he says you have a Rabbi Akiva Eiga, Chsam Sofek and the Netziv, that say in Sofek, don't say it Aramaic. Now I want to mention the Chsam Sofek's shita is very, very unclear. Some quote Chsam Sofek saying that you have a Sofek Brachas, he himself said it by Aramaic. But in the Chsam Sofek, in the Durham, he writes Beferish, you're not allowed to say a Sofek Bracha in Aramaic. So it seems that we have a major Sofek if this is an eitzah to say it in Aramaic. So I can't say it's 100% wrong, but it's definitely not recommendable. If you have Rabbi Akiva Eiga, Chsam Sofek, Netziv, Rav Moshe, in Chelik Dalad Siman Mem, even though generally he goes with the Aruch HaShulchan, he says, but the Aruch HaShulchan's eitzah is not an eitzah. The one that says, Lo Nira Klal Klal, that's a good eitzah. The Aruch HaShulchan says, Lo Nira Klal with his Klal, and I tell you, he's right. Don't make a bracha in Aramaic. So we'll say, Lamaisa, it's not a good idea, although you might find it here or there, it's not a good idea to say Brich Rachmana in Aramaic. Next eitzah, which might be more promising, someone told him whenever he has a Sofek Brachas, he thinks the bracha in his mind, he uses Hira Kedibur. Okay. Now, Hira Kedibur is the Gemara, but unfortunately he forgot the Gemara that we paskin Hira Lav Kedibur. And the Shulchan Aruch in Samach Beis Gimel Kuf Aleph Beis Kuf Pei Hey Beis Reish Vav Gimel in no less than 4 places paskins that Hira Lagabi Brachas is Lav Kedibur. So how could you rely on a bracha in Hira if Lav Kedibur? But there is one possible alternative. We do find regarding tefillas and brachos that Hira is something. We say it in Nusach Svat 6 times a day. Yiluratzein Imrei Fi v'Hegyon Libi. We equate Imrei Fi and Hegyon Libi. Or Imru Bilvavchem, we say in Krishma, in Alamita. Hashem Yira Lelevav, the pasuk says in Shmuel. And that's why, based on Yerushalmi, and the Shulchan Aruch in Samach Beis Dalad, Ramo and Sadik Dalad, Sivkot and Sivav, says, B'makom Oynis, when a person can't talk, he should at least be Mahara the Bracha Belev, because Hegyon Libi is something B'makom Oynis. Now, here, let's be a little creative. Enech Nami Hira Lav Kedibur, but B'makom Oynis Hira Kedibur. This Yid is sitting at work, Sofek didn't make a shackle. So gate him on 11 to drink without a bracha. But he can't make a bracha because his Sofek Brachas lahakol. Maybe he is an oynis, and at least let him be mahara the bracha. Is it worth anything? B'makam oynis, it's worth something. And indeed, this I saw a number of Gedolei HaPoskim. Rabbi Akiva Eiga in Kuf Pei Dalid, Sif Akam Aleph, and Shulchan Aruch quotes a Ginas V'Rodim that says this. And what to me is a bigger chiddush, the Pri Megadim, who does not like making a bracha in Aramaic because it might be bracha levatala, but he says, but to say a bracha in Hira is a great eitzah. But the only question is, Mamanasha. If you're going to tell me that a Hira in Oynis is Kedibor, so it has to backfire. Why isn't a bracha levatala? So that's a good question. It bothered me also. And I found the Halachas Ketanis, Chelik Beis Kuf Mem Vav, that was asked this question point blank. If you have a Sofek, here is an eitzah, maybe it's a bracha levatala. Zok Talachis Ketanis, a hearer can never become a Bracha Vatala. Because the Issa Bracha Vatala is Loisisa, and that's only if you verbalize the words. Thinking could only be good, but can never turn into a Bracha Vatala. The Welt says, Machshava Toiva Kash Baruch Hu Mitzaref L'Maisa, only good, not bad. But this is what that eight is based on. And Taka the Mamshik in the end of Tzad Gimel says, whenever I have a Sofek Bracha, I'm Mahara the Bracha Belev. Mamshik says this, the Minchas Yitzchak Chelekei Simen Kuf, the Chazon Ish was noig like that. Whenever he had a Sofek Bracha, he would think the Bracha Belev. Now, it does not mean think shackle, like you press shackle. No, you have to think. Baruch Atah Hashem Elokeinu Melech Haolam Shehakol Niyeh B'Dvar. What to me might be a little better, you certainly feel better, say Baruch Atah, then think Hashem Elokeinu, and then pick up Melech Haolam, you could verbalize. Now, I don't know if it's a lot better, because the Ikka Chasim and HaSeifa, but I did see the Ben Ish Chayin Re'eh Yud Zayin says, what he says, I guess his minig was to say Baruch Shepaturani, without Shem Malchus, but he would say Baruch Atah, think Hashem Elokeinu, Melech Haolam, Shepaturani Mi'oin Shisel Hazeh. So he would make this mix and match. He would say the bracha and think Shem Malchus. So here we have, Rabbi say, three choices for Sofek brachas: Shemei Ka'ina, Aramis, and Hirer. What's the best order when you have a Sofek, what to do? So I think the best Eitzah is Shemei Ka'ina. Even though the Tzlach has great reservations, so we'll say make it tonight, and that's the best Eitzah. Why is it the best Eitzah? Because it has the most meaning to it. Shemei Ka'ina is a perfect bracha. Are you chayshish for bracha vatala? No, I made it tonight. The next best Eitzah is Hirer. Hirer, you can't lose. But you're not gaining much. It's only a bracha of a makamainis. But the most questionable Eitzah is Aramis. Because that taka is good, but it might be too good. So the order would be Shemei Ka'ina with a Tanai or without a Tanai. Then you have Hirer. Hirer you can't lose, but it's not much more. And then you have Aramaic. There are a few more eights I wanted to share with you. I think a very original eitzah. The Pesachei Tshuva and Yeredeya Siman Shin Chav Ches discusses Hilchas Chalat. That's what the Siman's talking about. If someone has a situation that is a Sofek of Yischayev and Chalat, so you mafish Chalat and I make a bracha. Zok the Pesachei Tshuva, I kabalti mi Rabbi Isai, whenever you have a Sofek bracha, he's talking about Chalat, but any Sofek brachas, take out a Siddur, or you can do it by heart if you know it by heart, turn to Vayivarech David, which is a direct quote of a pasuk in Divrei Hayamim, and start davening again. Vayivarech David as Hashem, Vayoyma, Baruch Atah Hashem, Elokei Yisrael, Avinu me'olam v'yad olam. That's the end of the pasuk. Now, he doesn't say it exactly, but this is what I think the best way to do it is. The end of the pasuk, you pause, and then you say, Lahafish chalam and isa, or shakal ni b'dvari. Now, what's going on here? Very pashut. Baruch Atah Hashem, Elokei Yisrael, is Shem. Avinu me'olam v'yad olam might work as Malchus. Then you say, Shakal ni b'dvari. I bracha levatala. But it's a pasuk in Navi. You ought to say a pasuk in Navi. Now, Lamaisa, it does not say Elokeinu, it says Elokei Yisrael. So probably Elokei is also good for Elokeinu. Plus, we said earlier, Elokeinu is not Ma'akiv. The only issue which the Pais can discuss is where's Malchus. So he rather says, Pesachei Tshuva, go weiter. L'cha Hashem, Magdula, Melech, the whole next pasuk. That's a little excessive. So some say, rely that mi'ad olam is malchus. And what's even more surprising, the Chasam Sofer in the Tshuva and Archaim Siman Kuf Nun Vav has this eitzah. He quotes one, someone told him about this Gadol, Rab David Streis, when he became a Rav in Frankfurt. He has a Sofek if you make a Shechianu when you're Oyla the Gedula. So, God, his name was David, so it's even better. So he got up to the Bima, and the Fnei they said, Vayayim David, Baruch Atah Hashem, Elokei Yisrael, Shechianu Zman Hazeh. So the Chasam Sofer quotes this eitzah. Now if you look at the Chasam Sofer, he has a very short version. Nomi Oilam V'Adoilam, Rav Shlomo Zalman, Alicha Shleima, Chav Beis says, he meant the same thing like the Pischei Tshuva. So Rabbi say, here we have a patentische Eitzah. You have a Sofek Brachas, you have to be, a little interesting. You don't have to, your name doesn't have to be David, by the way. But you can say that. Vayem David, Baruch Atah Hashem, Avinu Me'olam V'Yad Olam, end of the pasuk, Shehakol Niyeh B'Dvar. Reb Shlomo Zalman even says that on this bracha you're allowed to say Amen, because it's a pretty good bracha, and it can't backfire because Navi can't turn into bracha Vatala. But Lamaisa, I saw the Machzel Eliyahu and Simon Bey says, but that's the problem. If you're saying it b'Torah's Navi, it's not a bracha. You'll say it as a bracha, then it could backfire. Reb Shlomo Zalman also says not to do this Eitzah for a different reason. A very, very edle appreciation of the sugi. He says, Chazal said, Sofek Bracha L'Hakol, don't make brachas. You are finding a way of making a bracha. So it's sort of a zilzol in Shem Shemayim. You're finding a way to beat the system. Don't do that. If someone else makes a bracha, Shemei Koina, it's a bracha. But to say a pasuk and consider it a bracha, not bracha, it's just too much of a zilzul. Rab Chaim Kanievsky in the Derech Emunah and Bikurim, Perikei, Ha'ora Kuf Samach Dal, don't ask me why it's there, but it's there. He says, how come Mr. Brewer didn't quote this Eitzah? Mr. Brewer saw the Pischei Tshuva, he saw the Chassam Sofer, he quotes him occasionally. He says, because if you're going to say it's a bracha, then niruk a bracha levatala. In other words, it's a very, very good einfal, but it's just too close to bracha levatala. So what can I tell you? People do it. You have what to be saimachan. If Zalman says don't do it, but if someone does, you can say amen to the bracha. So it's a pretty good eitzah, but it's just not recommended. What I also saw, that some Seif's Talmud, the Machne Chaim and the Akdama, he writes, when I had a Sofek Bracha, he would say the pasuk in Tehillim, Baruch Atah Hashem lamdeinu chukecha shehakol niyeh b'dvari. Now that is a full pasuk in Tehillim, which can turn to a bracha levatala. But the problem with that is, once you said a full pasuk in Tehillim, so the pasuk is over. How do you then add shehakol niyeh b'dvari? How do you add a half a bracha to a pasuk in Tehillim? You'll say I mean it b'Torah's bracha. There's no bracha lamdeinu chukecha. So the Rav Shlomo Zalman says that's not such a good eitzah. If you want to do any eitzah, stick with the Chassam Sofer, Pischei Tshuva's eitzah. But to me, what's really interesting, and we almost used it just a few days ago, we had a problem about Kiddush Levana. Some were afraid they're not going to make Kiddush Levana. So there's a quote of the Bnei Yissaschar in the same place in Derech Pikudecha. He says, whenever you missed the Zman of Kiddush Levana, but like some you could still say it, take out a Gemara Sanhedrin and read the Gemara. Okay, so I took out a Gemara Sanhedrin of Mem Beis. The Asher B'Morei, and the Gemara has the whole Nusach. U'Mesayim Baruch Atah Hashem Mechadesh Chadashim. So apparently the Bnei Yissaschar is saying that the Eitzah is found in Gemara where the Nusach of the Bracha appears, and learn Gemara. So if you're mechoyev in Kiddush Levana, it's Kiddush Levana. In the worst scenario, you're not mechoyev in Kiddush Levana, you learn to stick with the Gemara. There's no bracha of telling to stick with the Gemara. And that was one idea. I saw the Avnei Neza in the end of Shin Pei Gimel the Chuvas. He has a shaila about someone that has a suffix and make a bracha on Mar, whatever the case is. He says, L'Ravcha de Milsa, take out a Rambam and learn Rambam Hilchais Pesach and read the Nusach of the bracha from the Rambam. In other words, you got to be, really creative. Hold the Mora in your hand by the Seder, take out a Rambam, and read the Nusach. Now, don't get fatifed in the Rambam because you have to make, you have to say the bracha and then eat the Mora. Okay. The third type of suggestion, the Chassam Sofer in the Sefer Zichron LaMoshe is quoted when he saw Meshulam Igor for the first time. He took out a Shulchan Aruch and read the Gemara. He took out the Gemara. And Haroya Chacham Yisrael Oima Baruch Atah Hashem Kelvacholam Shechad B'Chamasav Yireyav. So you have three Gedolei Olam that said the bracha from the Gemara or Rambam, Morar, Chacham Yisrael, and Kiddush Levana. Okay, so it sounded like a great idea, but I looked at it again. There's something that maybe someone has a better term. I couldn't figure out In the Gemara, it does not say, Baruch Ato Hashem, Hashem Amorei. It says, Oim Baruch V'chulu. So it's not that you're reading a Gemara as it says. At the end of the Gemara, it says, Baruch Ato Hashem Mechadish Chadoshim. The Rambam is really a pliya to me, because the Rambam says, and this is like a pliya. The Rambam there is talking in Hilchas Pesach, Chametz Matzah, Perik Ches. In the times of the Beis Hamikdash, the Rambam says the nusach was Baruch Ato Hashem, and he spells out Elokeinu Melech Haolam, Asher Yishmeru Savanu, Al Achilas Matzos U'Merorim, or Achilas Zevach. When the Rambam speaks about time of the Mikdash, he spells out Baruch Ato Hashem Elokeinu Melech Haolam. But the Rambam says, but Bizman Hazeh, we make a bracha Al Achilas Matzah, Al Achilas Mara. He doesn't make the nusach. So what does David Nezer mean? If the Rambam would have the nusach Baruch Ato Hashem Elokeinu Melech Haolam, so you can say I'm learning Rambam, but there's no such Rambam. So I understood that these Gedolei Olam felt that as long as you're learning the nusach of the bracha, if you don't have to read it from the text, you're learning. If Kiddush Levana, the nusach is so and so. But obviously, it's a big Kiddush. Reb Shlomo Zalman is not excited about it for the same reason that it's Niruk and Mezalzel. I'm sure Reb Chaim Kanievsky would have the same problem. But what I did see, which Reb Shlomo Zalman himself says, if someone has a real Sofek Brachas and he has no other Eitzah, is the alternative to write the bracha. Writing? How does writing help? Maybe we'll rely that Ksiva Kedibur. Now, where do we find Ksiva Kedibur? We find it in Siman Mem Zayin. Although we do not make Birchas HaTorah on Hira B'Torah, but if you're writing Torah, you're mechuyev to make a bracha. So obviously Hira Kedibur. Maybe we'll use that by Sofek Brachas. But that is not true. Rabbi Kiva Eiga in the Tshuva Siman Lamed, as many other Gedolei Yisrael say, Ksiva is Lav Kedibur. You can't be Yaitza Bracha with Ksiva. We find in Hilchas Birchas HaTorah that Ksiva is Kedibur. That's for a different reason. Because you have to make a bracha on a Ma'aseh Limud. Hira is not a Ma'aseh Limud. Ksiva is a Ma'aseh Limud. But not that it becomes a bracha. So therefore I think Ksiva is not an Eitzah. But Ma'aser Shlomo Zalman Halicha Shloim Zayin Tezvav, he says, I wonder, whenever you have a Sofek Brachas and you can't get a bracha any other way, maybe it's an Eitzah to write the bracha and rely on Ksiva Kedibur. So to me that was a Chiddush, but Shlomo Zalman says it, Ayin Sham. And let me leave you with a few more eitzes. I guess we could say they are basically mainstream eitzes, not creative eitzes. When someone is at work, he can't make a bracha, and there's no one around to might see him. The eitz is take a walk, literally. Change location, make a real shini makam, not just out the door because some say you're still at home. Take a real shini makam, and when you come back, you have a chiyah bracha. Now, if you're in the middle of a cake, or you have people with you, so that's not a shini makom. I'm talking about you have a real shini makom, and then you created a need for the bracha. You'll say, that's a great idea, but who asked you to be goyim bracha she'ein tzricha? You had no chiyah bracha. So this I saw, Rav Moshe Chelik Dalet Siman Mem, the Birchas Habayis, Yotes Chav Dalet, and Rav Shlomo Kluger, and Kuf Tzadik Tes, each in different shilas. But they all say, you're not allowed to be goyim bracha she'ein tzricha because the bracha was unnecessary. But if you are faced with a Sofek bracha situation, so when you created the bracha is needed. Now, we would have said, what do you mean it's needed? Don't be so frum. The halacha is drink without a bracha. Why are you making a bracha she'ein tzricha? But vayis since there are some sheets that hold you can't do it, so even though you could rely on Sofek bracha and stay at work and drink the coffee without a bracha, you're allowed to make a shinui makayim, and goyim bracha she'ein tzricha would be an option if indeed, I'm being very careful, if indeed it's a real, legitimate shinui makayim. To make a Sofek shinui makayim, you're not gaining much. True, not everybody agrees to this, but I told you, Rav Shlomo Kluger, Birchas Habayis, Rav Moshe says an eitzah. A different eitzah, which many people do when they come to a chassan. Let me explain the shayla. A farshbais, l'chor in halacha, is no different than a dessert that needs a bracha even though you washed. A farshbais is not part of the meal. But a farshbais that's really an appetizer that stimulates the appetite, is part of the meal. Now, what stimulates the appetite? Appetizer as an appetite stimulant. Any sharp, acidic food that has acid, a citrus fruit, lamashal, pineapple, orange, grapefruit, the metzias is that any acidic fruit stimulates the appetite. It secretes the glands that makes a person have an appetite. The paiskim are very comfortable that anything, food that has this acid in it is part of the meal, does not require a bracha. Now, I say paiskim, I say Rishonim say this. One of the reasons why we don't make a bracha, Taisa says, a bracha on the moror during the Seder night, because it has that acid, that sharpness, and that's an appetite stimulant. The Rishonim say that's why you don't make a bracha achreina on wine when you make kiddush before the meal. It's before the meal, but the wine is an appetite stimulant. So if someone has grapefruit or pineapple as an appetizer, he could eat without a bracha. The problem is today they started serving fruit cups as an appetizer. Watermelon, cantaloupe, honeydew. Now, lemetziz, it does not help to stimulate the appetite. So many places you have to make a bracha on it at the beginning of the Suda. So others say, I'm eating it to fill me up, so it's a svaya, which is a good svara. But if someone feels that he's eating it only for the sweet taste, he runs into a major suffix if you have to make a bracha during the meal. So then the eitzah would be, before you wash, make an adama on the watermelon, cantaloupe, honeydew, because then you have to make a bracha. You'll say, I'm going bracha, let me wash and not make the bracha. Teretz says, when you wash, you're in a suffix. And this eitzah, not regarding appetizer, but is in Shulchan Aruch. In Kuf Ayin Dalet Siv Zayin, the Mechaba has a shayla, if you have to make a bracha on water that you drink during a bread meal. We don't make a bracha, the Nigar Maz not to. But the Mechaba holds you have to make a bracha during a meal. But the best eitzah is before you wash, make a shakel on the drink. Water, only if you're thirsty, you have to make a shakel on the drink. So there you see you can make a bracha before the meal, and with that you avoid tzveikas. You're being goyim bracha shein etzricha. No. Since you have a legitimate suffix, you're allowed to be goyim bracha shein etzricha in that situation. One more alternative, which again is pretty much mainstream, you have a suffix if you made a shakel on your coffee. When you're at work, you don't eat anything until lunch. You're very makbid, you're very disciplined. So you made a shakel, maybe a shakel on a coffee. The eighth is go to your drawer, break your diet, take out a chvesa chocolate or something, any shakel, and make a shakel on that. That shakel is necessary because you never had a mind to eat with the shakel that chocolate or that herring, whatever it is. You say, I'm not really interested in eating, I'm doing it out the bracha. That you can't go wrong. Because a bracha is a bracha. And if someone has a suffix bracha achroina, someone just asked me, he benched, he's not sure if he said ritzei. He's really, really sure he did. There's a tickle nerve in this fellow. But he still has a suffix. Is there any way of benching again without running into a suffix bracha? So the truth is we have a suffix ritzei. You have to bench over. I told him, if you want to be really from, wash again, eat a kabeya, and bench. Because since he benched, for sure, he was Masiach Das. So you have to wash again. Once you washed again and ate again, you have to bench again. So in the worst scenario, if you want your Yitzah benching the first time, you Yitzah with this. It's still within the time span. But more commonly, if someone drinks coffee, he's not sure. He's not sure. If he made a bar nefashos, he already finished drinking. He's not sure he made a bar nefashos, so he drank any soda for that matter. The eitzes make a new shakel on a drink, because you're Masiach Das, then that bar nefashos covers memanashach, so you have the eitzes without losing. So basically, these are the eitzes. The best idea is to stay away from sveikis. A guten tag to you all. Yes.
Activity, I don't know if I did it right.
Shem Egan Shir like the big Ashakar, Rabbi Smith for today's share. Rabbi Smith will give a seeking of the share in around 5 minutes. So Chananya ben Akashem, Maratzak Baruch Hu L'Zachis, is Yisrael Fig Hiram Torah Mitzvah, Shanem Adonai Chofetz, Man Tzidke Yadgul Teviyadeh.
Hard to find. Let's eat now. We say the bracha is ten of the bracha is bracha. So visualize. Say he says, "Will satisfy you there." It's not true. Rabbi Yosef has this it's the child of tonight. If I'm chayiv in the bracha, it's a bracha. You can hear it, I can have it. And I'm not chayiv, then this is that's a big suit. The answer is
You have to have a mind of an override point. You're watching from somebody else.
I think making the bracha is one problem. And really should start.
Not your thing.
It's a very, very strong
You thought you had a shahaka.
No, you thought it was wine and started saying God. And ended up being shahaka. It's Torah and Sayyid, which is very distinct. And not Machriya. In fact, someone was an Elohim, he made a he started making raw drinking his bracha, and it was really beer. So he should finish with beer, shaka, drink the bracha, and stop drinking. It's not possible to do it. It's a Rambam, you know, any problem.
You take out the chocolate.
He started making them Zionis, so they can stop making Zionis 10 minutes ago. So you quickly change it to shaka, or you say Baruch Shem, you cut the lessons.
Depends on being be careful.
No. It was economic. So it's not so possible. You should turn it into a shaka. So you ready?
Most places make. Right. Most places do.
Is there a different lesson anymore?
If you ask the Rambam, why does he write it? I said you should know what bracha to make.
Any place you find a bracha.
But you have to learn something.
This one is not Baruch. listen. Any part. I don't know. So what's the
They wouldn't know the word.
What's Simcha doing? I'm going to add your eight to Sofek Bracha. Watch it. Here's Simcha.
Okay, capital the Svekas here, let's go to the Sikkim of today's share.
Okay, just a short summary, learned here, Bez Hashem, as we saw, the basic klal is Sofek Bracha, is Lahakus Sabal, as it's referred to, which means even Berchas Hanenen, certainly Berchas HaMitzvah, but even Berchas Hanenen, if a person has a Sofek, he has to not make a bracha. The Mishnah Berurah says it's also to make a bracha, either because we paskin that he said the bracha, or whatever the cheshbon is, but if you have a Sofek bracha, you're not allowed to make a bracha, even Berchas Hanenen. Takasama machmir, but la'alacha, let's be clear, you can't make a bracha, which is a Sofek. The good idea is to find an eitzah that you get a bracha without risking bracha levatala. But the Maisa, the Minig, Yisrael is like the Shulchan Aruch in 6 places. Sofek Bracha l'halakha means you can't make a bracha. It's a good idea to find an eitzah. Hayman d'baylam have a chassid, like we said. So the eitzahs might be the following: to say a bracha and then quickly add Baruch Shem is not an eitzah, because Baruch Shem is not a tikkun on bracha levatala. It only works by tefillin, and even tefillin, it's not a real tikkun. The eighth is to listen to someone say that bracha that you need, and we assume, like the most pais can say, Shemei Ko'ina is good, but it's not a potential bracha of atol, even though the tzlach is chayshish for that. But we assume that it's only loisisa, verbalizing. So listen to someone else's bracha, and you're yaitze with that, but there's no concern of bracha of atol. If you want to be from, you could do the eitzah of Kiva Eiga. We saw the Mishnah Berurah says this, and the Har Tzvi says it. You could listen to his bracha b'tanai. So if there's no need for the bracha, then it's not even a Shemei Ka'ayna. You could be creative and mix and match. Listen to someone say Baruch Atah Hashem, and you continue. He's saying a bracha on tefillin, and you could say a bracha on the coffee shahakol. You could mix Chatzi Shmiya, Chatzi Amira. Saying without Shem and Malchus, you can't go wrong, but you're not accomplishing much, because a bracha without Shem and Malchus is not a bracha. Agav Malchus, you're allowed to say even if you're not allowed to say the bracha, because Malchus is no Malchus levatala, so you could say Baruch Atah. You could also say Hashem Alekeinu if you want, Melech Ha'olam, but not to verbalize the right Shem Hashem at all. Aramaic and Laz, although some Gedolei Olam did this, but it's not advisable. Many achayish that Aramaic, if it's a bracha and it's not necessary, it's a bracha levatala. Those that use the eitzah would make it tanai, like the Rosh Shulchan did, but the minig is probably to avoid the eitzah of saying in Aramaic. Saying a bracha in Hirur, to steer Menei, but thinking a bracha in Hirur is a good eitzah, you can't lose, but it might not help much because Hirur lav kadibur. The Makim Einis here is better than nothing. The eitzah by Yevarech David and concluding with the bracha that you need is mentioned by Paiskin, but we could say it's not advisable for different reasons. Saying Baruch Atah Hashem Lamdeinu Chukecha Shakalni B'Dvarei is even less of an eitzah, because you finished the pasuk in Tillim. How do you then add Shakalni B'Dvarei? That seems to be Paiskin. Some did it. Someone told me that when they had a suffix in Sheva Brachas, that one of the Gedolei Olam would say the nusach from the Gemara. So if it's done, it's done, but it's not a perfect eitzah. Writing the bracha, ksiva lav kadiba, you can't lose, but you don't gain much. The best eitzah would be to create a new need for bracha. Either make a full-fledged shini makayim, or eat a different food that was not included, or eat before you wash. Any case where you goyim a bracha shein etzricha, which generally is asa, but here that you have a Sofek Bracha, it's not a bracha shein etzricha, it's a goyim bracha that is necessary. We said you're allowed to eat again, and then make a new bracha achrein. And I want to just mention, someone reminded me, I forgot to mention this, the Halachas Ketanis has a very classic eitzah. You have a Sofek Brachas, find a child, v'loi chakim v'loi tipish, who's a giyul lechinek, but does not make a bracha, and say, listen, I'm going to teach you the shakel. And say after me, Baruch Atah, and you say the entire shakel niyah b'dvarim. That's the Eitz Lachas Ketana says. The Poskim after him wonder, if you're saying it als chinuch, it's not a bracha, how could it be yaitza? Teretz, you're saying it als bracha, so it's a bracha levatala. So the Rabbi Aimer says the Eitza is, say it, teach the child b'tanai. If I'm a choyev to make the bracha, I want it to be a bracha, and the child will hear it agav. If I already said the bracha, then it's only als a chinuch, and therefore there's no concern a bracha levatala. Yes, how are you? How was the Adas? You feel like you start flying and floating? What are you holding?
I'm home, right? I'm drinking a coffee. I'm at Shahar. 10 minutes later, I pass this. And then, of course, you open the refrigerator and I see another Shahar. I can have wine to eat, that piece of cheese.
What is your regular behavior?
No regular. I don't know.
Most people's stomach include everything.
Include everything.
Unless you
Not a candy.
But Victor
A
Miller,
candy.
Let's
Victor
see
Miller in his life never opened the refrigerator. If you're very, very disciplined, then it's limited. If you're not as disciplined as you know, if you're a
If
person,
I find the candy in my
what's your
pocket.
dinner, bro? What's your dinner? When you're home on a Sunday, whatever.
You're always eating something. You always open the
But you
refrigerator.
take your candy?
Stop, bro.
Do you take your candy? Stam, you take candy also or not?
Yeah.
Oh,
Whenever
you
you
do?
find something, you put it in your mouth. Stop eating it.
Wow. So the phrase, unless I heard it from my said it, yeah. The phrase said it, I'm afraid you're not going to finish like you said it.
When I mix and match.
You saw it many times.
Oh, what's the pshat?
One, the